Welcome back to Joe's Son of Boxing. I want to try and keep this one short and sweet because I don't want it to be ambiguous. It's not ambiguous. I want to make a totally unambiguous point to you, okay? Because I've been hearing a lot since the whole Tyson Fury Usyk thing, for which I blame Fury and his camp for avoiding the fight, for not making enough effort to make the fight. And I think it's true. Fury, at least at this time, it doesn't want that fight, okay? I've done a video on it. Go and have a look if you're interested. There are other fights. Spence Crawford is one. We've had the Conor Benn PED farce, the way that's been handled, all the BS that's come out about it, the whole charade and charade, or whatever you want to pronounce it. It's up to the same thing, which is nonsense. You know, we've had so many high-profile black marks against the game. But guess what? That's nothing new. You know, I've been watching boxing for well over 40 years, and there's always been things like that. But when people say boxing is dead in the water, no, it isn't. I am here to give you some very good news. Because for every Fury Usyk that isn't made, there's a Stephen Fulton Naoya Inoue that is made. Those two guys, Fulton and Inoue, are the epitome of why I love boxing. They are two guys who have sought out the absolute best fights throughout their whole careers, who have not avoided anyone, who have not made excuses, who have, most importantly of all, not talked a load of hyperbole BS, and then when it comes to the crunch, made excuses. They are not two people who have fleeced the public. They're two fighters, true fighting men, true warriors, who have decided to fight each other when there were far easier routes to take. The loser may take a step back, whether it's Inoue or Fulton. In terms of legacy, they may be slightly marred, but not really, because people and history, most importantly of all, will look at them and say, do you know what? These guys, they didn't have to do that. They fought each other. And the loser may go on to achieve great things too. This may be a career-defining fight for either. Thomas Hearns lost to Sugar Ray Leonard in the first fight. He then went on and became pound for pound, one of the best fighters. The knockout of Duran in 2 rounds was it's my all-time favourite knockout, that is. That absolute war with Marvin Hagler, he lost that in 3 rounds. Do people not respect Thomas Hearns now? Of course they do. They say, yeah, he lost some fights, but look at who he was fighting. This is what we want. These are the fighters we truly love. And that is why someone like Tyson Fury, or Spence or Crawford, or anyone you want to mention, whoever it is who's putting roadblocks in the way of these fights, these are the people whose legacy will suffer. And if you're a Fury type, well, if you're Fury himself, let's stick to Fury. I don't want to kind of beat this one guy up, but he deserves it. You know, if you're someone who talks the talk, who talks a absolute load of garbage about how you're the greatest, how you're this, how you'll take on anyone, how you'll fight for free, how you'll give your purses to charity, all this crap. If you're that type of person, make no mistake, history will say, yeah, good fighter, very, very, very good, possibly even a great fighter, but nah, too much nonsense. You know, if you talk the talk, it's now time to walk the walk for him. You know, against a man he claims is a middleweight, who's an easy touch. You know. Spence and Crawford, whose fault is it? Who cares? If two fighters want a fight, get stuck into each other. Insist that your respective promoters come to an agreement. Because if fights aren't made, or put it this way, if two fighters really, really want a fight, demand it, and 100% want it, then it'll get made. If they go to their respective managers and promoters and say, make this fight, and they both want it, it gets made. Look at Alexander Usyk. He's fought in every other country, usually in the backyard of his opponents, and he's beaten a lot. He's made concessions after concessions after concessions. You know, it's ludicrous how appeasing that guy has been to his opponents, because he wants to fight, because he thinks he can win. It's the same, and it's the same with him and Fury. He wants that fight. So let's also remember that for every fight that isn't made, we have a, let me think of some examples now, a Jeremias Ponce Subriel Matthias, or a, what was the other one I watched recently? Lewis Neary and Hovhannissian. You know, we're only in March 2023, and already there are fights that may well end up being fight of the year. If you're a true boxing fan, you know, you can't ignore these fights. I know that they are lower on the radar, but they're great, great fights. And if you love boxing, if you love not boxers, like being a fanboy or joining some sort of cult of a certain fighter, if you love boxing itself, and you have respect for anyone who plies the trade and takes on opponents, all you've got to do is pay attention to the sport overall. And when I say pay attention to the sport, I suppose I'm talking about the lower weight guys and the lesser known fighters. You will find absolute gem after gem after gem. Right? There have been some great fights already this year. So when I hear people say boxing's dead, you know, you had the Fury versus Paul farce, you know, which was essentially an 8-round novice fight, and you know, everyone was interested, but Fury Usyk can't get made, Spence Crawford can't get made. Yeah, those criticisms as individual points are valid, but don't then make that quantum leap to the point that saying that boxing's dead. It isn't dead. You know, boxing, the modern boxing game, the gloved era, if that's what you want to call it, has been around for 135 years roughly. I'll have to, you know, to work it out. My maths ain't great, but you know, it will survive. It will survive. And open your eyes and look for other fights. We love boxing. It ain't going anywhere. It's carrying on. And long after you and I are 6 feet under, it will still be there. Those great fighters will still come along. So be optimistic. Like this video, leave your comments below, subscribe to the channel. Go on, you know it makes sense. You want to do it, really. Subscribe to the channel, it helps us a great deal. We want to build up the channel. Much love to all of you. Take care of yourselves. Leave your comments below. I always enjoy reading them. Enjoy your weekend. We've got the weekend coming up. Nice one. Catch you later.